Long, long ago, in a palace far away, was born a beautiful baby girl with skin as white as snow. She was the queen's baby, and because she was so fair-skinned, she was named Snow White. Not long after she was born, however, the queen became ill and died. The king remarried, and the new queen was beautiful but vain. She brought with her a magical mirror, a mirror that would answer only the truth if asked a question. Every morning, the new queen would ask the mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who in the land is the fairest of all?" And the mirror would answer, "You, my queen, are the fairest of all." One morning, as always, the queen asked the mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who in the land is the fairest of all?" But the mirror answered, "Queen, you are full fair, 'tis true, but Snow White is fairer than you." The queen was furious, and ordered her guard to kill Snow White. The guard led Snow White to the forest, but she was so beautiful he could not kill her. Instead, he abandoned her deep in the forest. Snow White wandered through the forest until suddenly she came upon a house. This was the house of the 7 dwarfs. Snow White went inside. "Oh, I'm so tired. I have to get some rest," said Snow White as she lay on a bed and fell fast asleep. Evening came, and the 7 dwarfs returned home. "Hi-ho, hi-ho, it's home from work we go. We're the 7 dwarfs, and we work hard. We eat and play together every day. Hi-ho, hi-ho." Singing together, they opened the door and went on in. But, to their surprise, there on the bed was a stranger, sleeping. "Who in the world is this girl?" asked the first dwarf, Smarty. "She never got permission to barge in and sleep on our bed," said the second dwarf, Grouchy. "What's she doing here? Ka-choo!" said the third dwarf, Sneezy. "I'm the one who wants to crawl back into bed," said the fourth dwarf, Sleepyhead. "But, oh my, she's so beautiful," said the fifth dwarf, Bashful. "Whatever the case, let's keep smiling," said the sixth dwarf, Happy. "By the way, I'm hungry," said the seventh dwarf, Absent-minded. The dwarfs talking woke up Snow White. "Who are you, and where am I?" asked Snow White. "This is our house, and it's me who wants to ask you, who are you?" said Smarty. "I'm Snow White. I have no home now, so would you please let me live here?" "You can live here, but you'll have to agree to do all our housework," said Grouchy. "Sure, I'll do anything to earn my stay," said Snow White. The next morning, back at the palace, the queen asked the mirror as always, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who in the land is the fairest of all?" But the mirror answered, Queen, you are full fair, 'tis true, but Snow White, living with the 7 dwarfs in the forest, is fairer than you. What? Snow White is still alive? My guard lied to me, shouted the Queen. The Queen disguised herself as a peddler and went to the dwarf's house in the forest. Snow White, who was cleaning the yard, noticed the peddler and came running. My dear, what beautiful red lips you have! Won't you try eating this red apple? Your lips will become an even brighter red, said the peddler. Not knowing the fruit had been poisoned, Snow White took a bite of the apple. Ah! Snow White fell to the ground and died. The Queen, returning to the palace, straightway asked the mirror, Mirror, mirror on the wall, who in the land is the fairest of all? The mirror answered, You, my Queen, are the fairest of all. Hee hee hee! The Queen laughed, overjoyed. The dwarfs returned from work to find Snow White dead on the ground. Snow White! Snow White! Don't die! Cried the dwarfs, but Snow White lay still. Oh, oh, oh! Snow White has died! Our beautiful Snow White is gone forever! The dwarfs cried and cried. Tears rolled down their cheeks. The dwarfs put Snow White in a coffin made of glass. The dwarfs cried and cried all day. They couldn't go to work, and as they cried, they prayed, Please let Snow White come back to life. One day a prince riding on a white horse happened to pass by. He saw the dwarfs crying and said, Why are you all crying like that? Prince, oh Prince, our beloved Snow White has passed away, said Smarty. The prince looked at Snow White, and seeing her red lips, he thought, She is sure to come alive again. The prince then kneeled down and kissed Snow White on the lips. Just then, the apple she had eaten dropped from her mouth. And ever so slowly she came back to life. Snow White's alive again! Snow White's alive again! Shouted the dwarfs. Prince, you have saved me, said Snow White. It's not me, Snow White. It's the dwarfs who prayed for you that saved you, said the prince. Thank you, all of you. Thank you so much, said Snow White. Then, all of a sudden, the prince took Snow White's hand and said, Snow White, will you marry me? Up onto my horse, Snow White, said the prince, and off they rode to the palace. Soon they were married, and they lived happily ever after. The end.